The Same Kind of Huecos by Amy Perez. So her first line, hot and cold spring mix, navels blend into the earth. I broke that down. Of course, the hot and cold, she was saying how they mix together. Navels, again, she's bringing up about birth, and then how it blends into the earth. She's explaining how the birth merges the land together with Mexico and Texas. Once again, how the navel is a symbol. Her second line, where we could wade through and snap and imagine yellow police tape into the dark. The yellow police tape, you can think about like crime shows and how the tape is very flimsy. You can break through it easily. So I think she was putting it as like an invisible border, but you can easily break through, but it's still there, so you know that it exists. Her next line, bright summer desert and prompts border patrol. Hot summer and border patrol. Oh, sorry, no, that's not her line. It's bright summer desert and prompts border patrol. With that, I broke down, she was saying like it's always super hot desert type of texture out there, and she was explaining that the border patrol is constantly always there, so you can't avoid them. Her next line, to force re-entry from an official / crossing hundreds of miles away. I basically brought that down as she was saying that you need to be legal. You can enter, but you will be questioned, and then you will have to re-enter as a legal person. Her next line, through La Sierra del Carmen, back to Chisos in Big Bend, while Marathon, Texas. The La Sierra del Carmen, that is the mountain of Carmen, and Chisos is another mountain, both are which right across from the Rio Grande. To which she's saying they're not too far, of course, this is Texas, but she's constantly saying that the mountain is like a continuous mountain that runs through Texas. So it's lots of walking. Her next line, sleep in the near empty town of Becules, Mexico, abandoned after 9/11. This I broke down to, she was talking about a town in Mexico that was abandoned after 9/11, and because of the 9/11, it's already been heavily border patrol. This is also, the Becules is a rural village right across Rio Grande, which speaks into the border patrol that's going on currently. Her next line, shutting a few tourists back and before, forth to spend an hour and $1, vending machine change. She speaks about the tourists coming back and forwards as they're able to spend their money freely on little tourist machines and trinkets. Her next line, on walking sticks, wires, scorpions, cerveza, bean and cabbage tacos. So with that, I broke down the tourists are walking around and they're buying the foods, but they're also seeing the scorpions, they're also seeing the natural life. Her next line, Rio Grande, when we are one, certain that home is north or south or east or west. Ask your dad, Raylan. So I broke that down to be her explaining that home exists whether it is north, south, east, or west. The Rio Brave is what Mexicans call Rio Grande versus Rio Grande is what Americans call it. So those are different names, but they mean the same thing. So I felt she was saying these are the same thing, but at the end of the day, we all call home, whether it's north, south, east, or west. Her next line, Mexican black bears swim, walk across into the chisos, and froglets the size of sandflies pop up and down on the river mud. She speaks about the wildlife and animals that get to roam freely in Rio Grande and the mountains around it with no issues. They're not being stopped by Border Patrol. Next line, when our crossing remains a novelty and others lost wallets and families escaping patrol lights. She explains, first, novelty, you already know that can mean funny or like a toy. So she's explaining how some people cross for the fun of it because they're tourists, as she talked about in her other line previous to this, versus people have crossed because they are escaping and they've lost their family in the midst of them escaping, or they lost wallets or valuable items just trying to get away from Border Patrol taking them. Her next line, in the silk of water springs, all the empty and exit routes and navels were our first scar once a mother star, in you, Rio. Again, she's speaking about life with the belly buttons. She explains as the belly button is our first scar that is given to us when we're born. She also explains that even Rio, meaning that Rio is like everyone else. Her next and last line, are real in the canyon and not a metaphor, and not divided as objects are divided. She broke that up as, obviously she's saying this is not a metaphor, but she's basically saying that people divide things. Things don't get divided by themselves. So people are dividing due to the Border Patrol, making humans feel like they are not humans. I summarized her whole entire poem to be, once again, about the Border Patrol issue that's currently happening in Rio Grande, an issue with Texas and Mexico not becoming as one, even though we are as one, and she even dials it down to the U.S. and Mexico. She talks about the division that's placed upon humans by humans, and talks about how animals get to run freely, but not humans. Even if they are roaming freely, they are not legal. They are stopped by the Border Patrol and questioned, and that is what's currently happening. She speaks about us people as being one, as we all, in a way, are the same because we all have navels from being born. So that is how I broke down her poem by Amy Perez, the same kind of huecos, which actually means holes. So the title just basically means we are the same in a sense. Thank you.